so don't lift anything now.
Then the 95 gets lucky. On a full course yellow, Jeff Brown instructs Ryan Hunter-Reay to keep the car on the track.
We're going to stay out. We're going to stay out here.
Long enough to catch up with the pack, return to the lead lap, and move within striking distance of the leaders.
I think we're going to do it. I think we're okay here. Way to go. Way to go.
Cautions are inevitable in this race, and we just kept a quick pace, and when it was time to go, we caught around, passed the pace car when we got way by, and got our lap back, and got out before the leaders came by. So we got the driver change done before the leaders came by. So all the plans so far.
Richard Westbrook replaces Ryan Hunter-Reay in the 95. He passes several cars and takes advantage of a full course yellow to move into 5th position. 4 hours have passed since the 3:32 p.m. start. 4 of the 44 cars that began the race are now out of it. Both level 5 cars are on the lead lap. But David Stone knows this race has barely begun.
When you start a 24-hour race, or really any races, the jitters are just like anything else, probably going to Broadway, you know. But, you know, things settle in and people get in a rhythm and relax a little bit. And hopefully you don't have any big problems that get you wound up again. And we encourage you guys to take care of themselves, well-rested, and eat and drink and get off their feet when they can, that sort of thing. And I think they're all doing a great job.
Sasha Maassen has spent the last 2 hours at the helm of the 55.
We are starting the race with a little bit too much downforce. So we are able to go flat in some corner that we were never flat before in the practice. So it seems to be a good sign. The only problem is we are a little bit too slow on the straight. But that's okay. For 22 hours we want to stay like this. In the last 2 hours we're going to change that.
The Chip Ganassi Racing number 2 car with a BMW engine built by Steve Dinan has led the race for 84 of the first 125 laps. The world-renowned engine developer hopes at least one of his 5 DP cars will be there at the end.
Everybody's been running real strong, and we've led a very good portion of the race with the combination of the cars. Long way to go still.
A lead-footed Englishman who's become rather accustomed to winning races is quickly closing the gap.
Good job here. Just keep pushing. You're doing great. You're within 5 seconds of the leader. Fastest car on the racetrack that lap. Fastest car that lap. Great job, Joe Richard. Great job.
In Richard Westbrook's career debut in a Daytona prototype, he has rallied the 95 from 13th place all the way to 2nd position. 4 seconds off the lead.
I'm satisfied because we've got a good car. I have to say, a really good car, and it's surprised me because we've had such little running in the practice with all the problems with the crash and everything. So Jeff and the guys have, you know, I don't know how they do it, but you know, they've guessed a really good setup. I mean, Ryan was quick. We just unfortunately we lost a lap because he thought he had a problem with the suspension. But we got it back and we're in the race. We're definitely in the race.
Lucas Luhr's having a great run here today. He'll certainly be trying to make amends for that little incident that he had on Thursday. Created a lot of work for the crew. He has finished on the podium here before.
Manuel Collard is the car, that Black Crown Royal BMW powered Riley starting to zero in on Memo Rojas. This guy is an overall Rolex 24 winner. He knows how to get it done.
I tell you what, Scott Tucker means business in terms of his own driving. He is putting the work in. He is very fit, and he is not afraid to employ the best in the business to get his team to that top tier, like the Ganassis, like the SunTrust, like the Gainsko, like the Mike Shank operations.
After taking over for Sasha Maassen, Manu Collard has guided the 55 from 9th position to 5th. On lap 156, he moves into 4th because Lucas Luhr can't seem to avoid the slower traffic. The 95 is forced to make another unscheduled pit stop.
Normal stop here, normal stop. Okay, those are stickers. It may take a lap or two. Yeah, you had a severely bent right rear wheel. The wheel was bent. So we're okay here.
As a result, the 95 drops from 3rd position to 8th, almost a full lap behind the leader. But once more, a yellow flag rescues the 95.
Stay out, stay out. Okay, you're going to get to go all the way around so you'll pass the pace car. The race leader is right behind you, right behind you. When you see the pace car go out, you'll get to go by it and get all the way out.
His car is back in 3rd place, but Jeff Brown knows at some point the fortunate breaks will stop coming. When Manu Collard relinquishes the 55 to Sebastian Bourdais, the car is in 4th position.
I'm happy because we are in the same lap than the leaders, so this is very important for us. But the car is a bit too, at the moment, it's a bit too difficult to drive. It's a bit too much unstable on the braking, and it's not so easy. Maybe with more grip on the racetrack, it will be better at the end, but for the moment, it's a bit tricky.
The 95's luck hasn't run out yet. Another caution period allows Lucas Luhr to give Level 5 its first lead of the day.
Lucas Luhr has climbed to the top aboard the NPN Racing Level 5 BMW powered Riley.
The guy behind me is in Montoya. You know too. He hit me in the side. He's an idiot. He's an idiot. Remember, we finish this race first to have a chance to win. He wants to be an idiot.
Watch Montoya. He will be relishing the opportunity to have a go at Lucas Luhr.
Juan Pablo Montoya, a legend in open-wheel racing, is coming off his best NASCAR Sprint Cup season since he switched over in 2007. And he hasn't forgotten his narrow defeat here in the Rolex 24 1 year ago. It seems he may be a little anxious.
He stacks them up. He stacks them up. You're not allowed to initiate your pass. You can't break that line before you cross the stripe here.
Montoya will not have liked that a bit. Tries the outside.
And makes it look easy around the outside of Lucas Luhr. Luhr cannot fight JPM, or does he come back now? No, Juan's too far out in front.
Jeff Brown's advice to his driver to let the feisty Colombian have the lead proves wise. In 2.5 hours, the 2 car will be out of the race with engine failure. Before his stint is over, Lucas Luhr burns the car's fastest lap of the race so far. The 95 team may have lost the lead, but it has savored a most pleasant taste and is hungry for more.
We need to go down to the pits because we understand Lucas Luhr is a little hot under the collar. Kelly?
Well, he got out of that 95 and looked pretty animated talking to his team manager. Lucas, what happened out there?
It was the previous safety car period when I was scrubbing my tires and suddenly I felt a big bang from the right side and Montoya was hitting me. I'm pretty sure he didn't do that on purpose. It was for sure a misunderstanding, but I was a little bit shocked. I said under the safety car, and we are not in cup racing, so it was unusual.
I did really close racing with him up at the high banks, like 200 miles an hour, very close, and he's a fair guy. He's absolutely professional, and you can trust him that he doesn't do any stupid things, you know, that somebody gets hurt. So I had really a lot of fun and enjoyed it.
Sebastian Bourdais and the 55 move back into 4th position and hold it for the next 22 laps before overtaking 3rd. Moments later, a problematic pit stop knocks the 55 back into 8th position. Meanwhile, Ryan Hunter-Reay and the 95 hold the lead for 5 laps before another caution brings it into the pits.
The last time I was in the car, it was wet, so I didn't really get to drive in the full dry yet. So the car is nice because in a 24-hour race, you don't want it to do anything bad. A lot of cars, it's really good when you start out on new tires, and then it goes really to bad, to loose, or to big push. And right now, we're just kind of, it's just pushing a little bit. It's not loose, and you know, it's not going to put the fastest race lap on there, but it's going to be fast, and we just have to stick it out here. This is like driving in a car to the racetrack right now, so we're not racing yet, and that's the mentality we need to have.
When the green flag waves, Richard Westbrook and the 95 are in 5th position. Christophe Bouchou and the 55 are in 7th. With almost 16 hours left in the race, anything can happen. During Sébastien Bourdais' impressive stint in the 55, he adjusted the brake bias so it was more to his liking, increasing the emphasis on the front brakes. That's not an unusual step for a driver to take.
How much brake balance did you have?
But unless the change is recognized in the car's telemetry data, or the driver promptly mentions it to his engineer or teammate, the next driver could be in for a big surprise.
On the brake balance, it looks too heavy on the front. Go rearward on the brake balance. If you need to, your choice, but it looks a bit heavy on telemetry.
Be careful.
At 11:43 p.m. on lap 237, the 55 makes contact with another car. It goes straight to the garage with front brake and suspension damage.
When I drive the car, apparently there are really too much brake on the front. It's really strange because we had a brake balance of 57 right now, and normally we must be 51, and especially it's not totally dry condition. So I mean, we was running before that more on the rear, and in my first lap, I go straight at the bus stop, and I locked the front wheel, but nobody was there.
His first real-time lap, he locked up at the chicane and went straight over the chicane, locked the front tyres. I immediately looked at the brake balance, and then where Sébastien had been running it was a bit more forward than Christophe is used to, so I went on the radio and said, go rearward on your brake balance, go rearward on your brake balance. And he did, but it wasn't enough, and he did the same thing the next lap. And unfortunately, there was another car there.
Kind of took out the right front corner on this, the radiator, the front splitter, and a few other associated parts. I'm not exactly sure what all, until you get into it.
Since the beginning of the race, we haven't had any straight line speed, so I've trimmed the car out as much as I dare to try and get some performance, and you can see that we got some performance back, but it made the car fairly nasty to drive. And the guys are doing a good job that they had to play a lot inside with their tools inside the car with the anti-roll bars and the brake balance. And Christophe, having driven in the rain and then getting in on the dry on a car which had changed quite a lot, was just a difficult thing to do.
There's many cases where teams have had adversity where they're in the garage and they go back and they spend an hour or sometimes more and come back to win that race. And the one thing that you never know in a long race like that is that you might be the person that's fallen through some problem, and you get back in it and you kind of think you're down, and then your competition has a similar problem.
Meanwhile, back on the track, Richard Westbrook has taken the 95 to the front of the pack.
You are P1. Stop it behind, and then the Brumos car with Darren Law driving in third.
1 hour and 20 minutes after their sudden departure, Christophe Bouchou and the 55 return to the track, 42 laps behind the leader. The mix-up over the car's brake balance and subsequent collision has likely cost the 55 any realistic shot at a podium finish. But next door, things are starting to get interesting. At 1:38 a.m., another successful stint for Richard Westbrook in the 95 comes to a close.
Pit now, you're getting out.
He led the race for 3 laps and spent another 21 in second position, separated from the leader and third place car by less than a second. Competitive duels like that are what every driver lives for.
Yeah, it was really good, and you can see where the other cars are quick and where we're quick, so it's given me the impression that we have an absolutely fantastic car. We just need some more power. There's not a lot we can do about that.
But after doing everything he possibly can to keep his team in the thick of it, Richard Westbrook is helpless to prevent what happens next.
Waiting on fuel, still waiting on fuel. Okay, shut the engine off, engine off.
What was it? Just stop. You couldn't loosen it up. No, they can't.
We couldn't get the seatbelt loose or tight, and there's a marshal standing there and saying, "You're not gonna leave the pits, my friend, if your belt is not tight." There's a buckle, a metal buckle, and all that duct tape got stuck in, and it's like a zip tight, you know, it's tight, and so they had to cut it out with a knife, and it was like, to be honest, pain in the ass.
One of the guys had put some orange reflective tape on them. The concept and the idea is good, but it was the application that caused the problem. Seems like such a silly thing, but that just is one of those deals that you can see in a 24-hour race. Any little thing can cause you a huge problem.
The pit stop drags on for 2 minutes and 56 seconds.
We can push it if we need to. Go.
The untimely debacle plunges the 95 into 7th position, a full lap behind the leader. Richard Westbrook's hard work, 10 hours of extraordinary effort by the entire team, and months of preparation have been sabotaged by a piece of tape.
Painful, it really is. It's something so trivial as a bit of tape on a seatbelt. It's really, really tough to take at the moment, but we'll get the lap back. We've got a great crew here, really spot on the strategy, and hopefully they'll get us that lap back, you know, because I feel like we deserve it. It's going absolutely according to plan. Apart from that completely trivial seatbelt disaster.
The 55, meanwhile, is assessed a stop-and-go penalty for making contact with another car. A car that, unlike the 55, was in contention for the lead. The 75, owned by Krone Racing and driven at the time by Nick Janssen, would limp into the garage with front-end damage. After the incident, Jeff Brown discusses the situation with a member of the Krone Racing team as Nick Janssen looks on.
Get hold of Bushu and kick him in the bollocks really, really hard.
The only thing about that is you're going to have to wait in line because I'm going to kick him first.
Good. Well, no, I want you to give him a kicking for me while he's still warm when he gets out of the car.
We're both
because he's
getting
a
up on it.
fucking idiot.
Later in the race, Jeff Hazel, team manager for Krone Racing, would have this to say about the incident.
Our cars run perfectly throughout the race. Unfortunately, a car 40 laps down hit us into the barriers, just enough to damage the front upright, and that took some time to repair. That's why the car's now quite a few laps down.
25 laps after the seatbelt catastrophe, the 95 has moved back into 4th position, still 1 lap off the pace. But Jeff Brown has taken a gamble, hoping the front brakes would hold out long enough to be changed under a yellow, or at least during a scheduled stop.
I need to come in for the brake. I think the brake goes right. You need to stop now. Yeah, I have no more braking. Pit now. Front brakes, tires, and front brakes. Tires, fuel, front brakes.
The pit has become a necessity 7 laps earlier than planned, and does not go well.
You can reset your fuel while you're sitting there.
The brake change, that was a bit of a mistake. We know that we've got to change twice during this race. And what we also know is brake pad life wears a lot more, say, in the last 40% than it does in the first 60%. It wears at a faster rate. And we let it go too long, and the pads got too thin, and then they almost weld themselves into the rotors, and the guys had a real tough time getting those pads out. Of course they did, but it hurt us again dearly on that stop. So we'll make that brake pad change next time quite a bit earlier, so we don't go so low.
Okay, pump up the brakes, all the way out. Pump the brakes again, a couple times here. Good. All right, watch the exit there.
After 4 minutes and 28 seconds in the pits, the 95 falls 4 laps behind the leader in 6th position.